Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Pharm. My name's Anyen. Alright, so you guys requested that I make a video on how I divided up my NAPLEX books, which I have them here. And so this is that video. So keep watching. Prior to that, I want to announce that I'm doing a giveaway. I am giving away a 2022 NAPLEX course book, brand new, never opened. And yeah, it's 2022, but to be honest, I doubt there's that many changes from 2022 to 2023. And when I was using this book to study for the NAPLEX, I really felt like had I had this during pharmacy school, it would have been so helpful. I mean, all the topics that we see in pharmacy school are in this book, but it's so much more concise. I feel like it would have been so helpful studying for exams. You know, there's some professors that you leave their class and you just don't know what to focus on. There are great professors, and then there are professors that are not so great. I feel like supplementing with the NAPLEX book would have been really good had I had one or even known about it. I definitely, looking back, that's one thing that I would have invested in, is just getting the NAPLEX course book to sort of guide me through pharmacy school. Because I purchased a lot of other books that I never really used. Like, I purchased a lot of outside material to sort of help me, you know, through pharmacy school. And some of them were useful, others not so much. And I also utilized a lot of outside resources like YouTube and Khan Academy and things like that. So I really feel like if I had this book, it would have been helpful. I mean, even calculations, like the way they break it down in the book is, I mean, it's so easy. Plus you have like practice questions after most of the chapters and things like that. So I'm giving this away. All you need to do is subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, and leave a comment. Again, when I was studying for the NAPLEX, I used this along with the videos. So personally, I don't think that you have to be a P4 graduating to benefit from this book. I think like from first year of pharmacy school, this will still be very beneficial to you. So yeah, so enter the giveaway and I will select the winners in 2 weeks. I'll leave more specific details on my Instagram. So follow me on there, or you can just check there to see what the details are. But yep, that's that. All right, now into the meat of the video. You guys want to know how I divided my NAPLEX book. So I will leave screenshots of each book and how I divided them. So I had a total of 5 books right here. I divided them into 5 separate books. And it's really easy. I mean, I didn't do it myself. So I went to FedEx, and prior to going to FedEx, I already figured out how exactly I wanted them divided. So you can see here, it comes as like one huge, bound book, right? So what you need to do is take it to I went to FedEx, and you just let them know that you want it divided and you want it spiral bound. So they added the spiral bound, and then I asked them to make a copy of like a hard copy. So if I show you, so this is a plastic cover sheet that they put on it. On top of that, I asked them to make a copy of this. So I didn't do that for the first book because it already had a hard copy. But for all the other books, so for example, here, this is a hard copy of this. So you can see here, this is the actual page from the actual NAPLEX book. And I just asked them to make a physical hard copy of that. I mean, I don't think it's really necessary looking back at it, but I just wanted a hard copy to keep the rest of the pages more secure. And if anything, I didn't want to lose this first page because that would sort of guide me on what was in the book. And then I also asked them to add a back copy, which is, I don't know what this is called, but sort of like a back black cover sheet. So I think if you just explain to them that you want a spiral bound notebook with a hard cover, a plastic cover in the front, plastic clear cover in the front, and then a black cover in the back, they'll understand what you're saying. And all of this cost me no more than $35. I think my total was like 33 something. So it was very affordable, and it took an hour. They literally said come back in an hour. I went into my car and I waited, and once it was, I didn't even go home. I just waited in my car and then grabbed it when they were complete, and paid and left. And so, like I said, I'll leave screenshots of each book, but let me just explain a little bit how I decided to divide this. So my first book, okay, they all just fell. I'll grab that in a second. So my first book, I included Pharmacy Foundations Part 1, and then I took Pharmacy Foundations Part 2, which is actually in the end of this book. So the way it's set up is you have Pharmacy Foundations Part 1, which is like this first section, and then Pharmacy Foundations Part 2 is like back here somewhere. And I was just like, you know, I mean, I'm sure they had, NAPLEX had a reason why they put it in the back, but I decided to move that to the front with this first book. So this first book is my biggest book. It has my Pharmacy Foundations 1 and 2, and it has calculations, statistics, compounding. So I decided to make this book my everything calculations book. And the reason I put Pharmacy Foundations Part 2 in here is because it has calculations. It has like all the bioavailability, math. So anything math related is in this book. Now, if you do, I mean, this, like I said, this is the biggest book. If you do want to divide this up, again, I would just do Pharmacy Foundations Part 1 and Part 2 together, and then do all the compounding, statistics, hazardous drugs, and calculations in a separate book. So it's possible to divide this into 2. But again, I wanted all the math in 1, and the Pharmacy Foundations Part 2 had math. So that's why I decided to just put it into this book. It's calculations, it's the biggest. So I knew that this, I mean, if I got through this book, I'm like good for the exam. Not good, but you know, good. Okay. And then for the rest of them, I just tried to divide them by like content, what I felt like was related. So some of them are not so related, but I tried to also divide them in a way that I felt I could easily digest. So I put all my, this is infectious diseases. I know infectious disease is a huge topic, so I put that in here along with things like travelers, diarrhea, and immunizations, because that's kind of related. And then you also have like renal and liver disease. So those are smaller chapters. So I just put that in this book. So it's not a huge book, pretty manageable, pretty digestible. And then I put all my cardiovascular conditions in one book. So that's this one. And it also has like pulmonary conditions and tobacco cessation, and anticoagulation, and blood disorders. So all of that's in this book. And then, so I'm not really going in order of the books, but I do have, again, I'll list book 1 to 5 and how I broke them up. I'll also post it on my Instagram, so you can just like take screenshots or save it, and it's easy to see. And then in this one, I have endocrine conditions, male and female health, and special populations. That's another small topic. Not small, but yeah, digestible. And then here I have oncology, which is another big topic, but I have that along with pain, and then psychiatric conditions, neurologic conditions, and GI conditions. So for the rest of the, so I really tried not to separate, when like I tried not to like take a chapter from here and then a chapter from there and like mix. I tried to keep it simple. So I really took the book and I divided it along with the, like I didn't displace the order. The only place that I displaced the order is for the Pharmacy Foundations 1 and 2, where they have Pharmacy Foundations Part 2 in the back of the book. So I took that from the back and I brought it to the front of the Pharmacy Foundations Part 1 book. But everything else, it's really just going in the order of how NAPLEX already has it. I just decided where to cut. Another thing I wanted to note is that because this is my math book, oh, this is very important. So the reason why I also made this everything math related in this one book is because the back of the NAPLEX book comes with a formula sheet, which is at the very back of the huge spiral, with the very back of the huge bound book. It comes with a formula sheet. So I took that formula sheet off. I asked them to take that off and put it in the back of this book. And it's not here because I used that page so much that it fell out. I actually remember when I went to write the NAPLEX and I was like doing last minute studying, I was just like, that day it came off. So I haven't put it back because what's the need? So yeah, so because this is my calculations and math, everything math book, I put the formula sheet, I moved the formula sheet from the back and I brought it here. So it was actually this, the very last page of this book, so that anytime I wanted to do math, I always had the calculation sheet. It's not something, I didn't have to carry another book in order to be able to see that. So that's why I did that. So that's pretty much it. So the reason I decided to break apart my book, I mean, I think it's very obvious. I wanted to make it easy to digest. I wanted to, you know, it's easier to track my progress that way. So I know that, for example, once I'm done with a book, usually what I do is, as I'm going through the book, if I finish a chapter, I take the quiz on RX Prep, and then I write my score. And then at the very end, either I redo the quizzes, but by the time I get to the end of one book, I know that I've touched all of that material and I've done all the quizzes. And so I can sort of move that book aside and I know that I'm done with that course subject. So it's easy for me to track. It's easy for me to know what's left to study and what I've already done. Additionally, you know how as a student, I mean, if you're watching this video, you probably do the same thing, but I would go everywhere with my book or study materials. I mean, it's like a guilt thing, right? Because you'll carry it, you might not even, like, you know, there's no time to study. You know that you're not gonna have the time, but you carry it regardless, because what if you just have 5 minutes? What if, you know, you have some downtime? You'll feel like you're wasting your time if you're somewhere and you have nothing to study. So I always carried my books around with me. It was just a habit. And so imagine lugging around that huge book. I mean, it's discouraging. You probably won't carry it around if that's what you had. So having the smaller books, I knew that I could always just grab and go, grab one subject, and like, that's what I knew that I was focused on, and you know, it's not heavy. Yeah, so essentially that's how I broke up my book. I think that it would be helpful, like I said, even to like P1s. As a P1, if I had this book, it would have helped me sort of tackle some of the tougher subjects like oncology, infectious disease, because it's laid out very nicely. I mean, this book has a lot of acronyms that will help you study, right? It has a lot of acronyms that will help you remember things. And just imagine being able to have that from the very beginning of pharmacy school. By the time you get to writing the NAPLEX, it's going to be so much easier, and you already have it memorized. A lot of the acronyms, trust me, I remembered some of the acronyms. I memorized some of the acronyms, got to the exam, and like couldn't remember what the acronyms stood for. Like, I'll remember the acronym, but like, what is it? What makes up the L in my acronym? So it's because it's a lot of studying. I mean, it's a lot of material to sort of bunch into one at the very end. So I think that having this and just using those same acronyms throughout pharmacy school will be very helpful, because at the very end, I mean, it'll almost guarantee you won't forget it and you'll do great on the NAPLEX. All right, so that's it for this video. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. All right, thanks. See you guys next time at Pharm. Bye. Peep the sweatshirts. Yes, I had to make an entrance in yellow. If you don't know, that's my favorite color. It says Pharmacist, someone who is trained to read a doctor's handwriting utilizing excellent precision guesswork, also known as magicians and wizards. So yeah.